Jake Shimobuko, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media with my good friend Mark.
Susanna, do you want to do a documentary? And she's like, yes. I'm like, great, here you go.
So it was really a lot of just jumping off the cliff and being like, yes, let's hope this will work. And it did.
That's great to see your face, man. That is all. Thank you. That's a great gift, Mark.
I could be working now. I could be doing something. So it's good to take some time away, but I can't get away for too long, quite honestly.
And I can't find a light. I've only worked here for like 5 years and I can't find a light switches.
It's like Darby, Montana, population 600. Man, we got to come up with a plan.
Yeah, I think when it feels like the journey is complete, you know.
Other than that, it's all good. We're just gonna keep trying to make it.
So I was one of those fresh off the boat, but I think this term is really insensitive. Stop calling immigrants fresh off the boat. We'll take an airplane now. This is the 21st century. Nobody takes a boat. We are immigrants. We are not pirates.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama, based here from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday, the 21st of February, 2023. And I'd like to thank my previous guest, Julia Foreman, for taking the time to talk about her music. And I know she's got a few other things that are coming up down the pike. So I really enjoyed talking with Julia. And speaking of which, coming up, the next few live streams that I have actually on the schedule is the next one is a week from today on the 28th of February at 6 p.m. I have Emma Rose scheduled to join me, who is in high demand right now in the adult world. And if you're not sure why, then tune in next Tuesday and you'll find out why. And also a little bit further down the road on March 10th, I'm really, really excited that I finally have my second filmmakers symposium together. I have 3 specific female filmmakers that will be joining me. I was very adamant about not doing substitutions or anything else like this. These are the 3 ladies I really wanted to get, and luckily our schedules have all kind of combined to work out. So I'll be releasing that information pretty soon about who's going to be joining me, and I'm really, really excited about that. And there's at least 2 other ones that are going to probably happen before that. I'm just trying to work with the publicist right now to figure out what's going on. My own personal schedule is kind of weird right now as well, so we'll have to kind of see what happens with that. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that would be great. And if you'd like to ever ask my guest tonight or any guest that I have during my live streams a question or comment, please just subscribe to the YouTube channel or join me on Twitch, and you should have instant access to the chat. Please be aware that my guests do not see what is being said in the chat, only I do, so I will incorporate those questions as they come along, and we kind of go from there. So sometimes it's really good, and if you're a troll, then I just block you and off you go. So it's been a minute since I've had a chance to do a live stream, and last week was when this one was supposed to happen, and thanks to Xfinity, I had 2 days with no internet, so thank you, Xfinity. But now I'm back, I'm doing what I need to do, and but I'm kind of wasting time. So let's kind of get 2 things. My guest today is a man of many talents. He is a stand-up comedian. When he's not making audiences laugh, he's turning them on with his adult director work with Delphine Films. He is also a podcaster. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Oliver Wong.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Nice meeting you guys. Hi.
Nice meeting you, Oliver. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I've been pretty good lately. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want to dive into, so you have so many different things going on in your careers. So I definitely want to start with the comedy side, and then I want to kind of see what kind of time we have to move into the adult work and maybe even with your podcast work as well. But they kind of talk about when people are learning a second language, that if they can master humor in that language, that's when they've kind of hit a certain plateau. And for you to be a stand-up comedian, I'm kind of curious, like, where did that come from? Have you always considered yourself funny? Was it something that someone, friends told you should get up there and do like an open mic, or how did this come to be?
Right. Okay, that's a good question, actually. I've never think of that way. So yeah, English is my second language. I'm an immigrant. I'm from Taiwan, and then I came to the US 7 years ago. When I came here, I didn't really speak English, but I tried really hard to learn. So over over a few years, I really, kind of mastered the language a little bit. And the reason why I started doing stand up was just because I was very lonely, and then I needed a outlet to, release my emotions. Because back then, when I first came to America, I didn't have any friends, and then I had a hard time making friends because of the cultural differences and language barriers. And then I just started watching, comedy on Netflix, especially stand-up comedy. And then throughout my life, I always make my friends laugh, but I never think I can make strangers laugh. But just because I was too desperate to release my emotions, so I just like, okay, I think I need to do something. So I started to go to open mics. And then quickly I found, oh, people will laugh at my jokes. And I like that feeling because that feels like my stories, my emotions are being heard. So I just keep doing it. Right now, I've been doing comedy for about like 4 years.
Wow, I always have such admiration for stand-up comics because it's just you. It's you and a mic and your jokes and your material. And if it goes well, like you said, you're expressing your emotion and you're connecting with the audience and making them laugh, making them feel good. And if you bomb and you have flop sweat, then it's like, wow, where else can I hide?
Yeah. That's the thing about stand-up, which is something I have like love and hate relationship with it. Because yeah, like you said, if you bomb, it's your fault. But if you make people laugh, it's also you. It's your effort. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get all the credit or all the blame.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm curious. I was watching some of the clips that are on your YouTube channel, and everybody out there, make sure you go and subscribe to Oliver's YouTube channel. How long does it take you to come up with your material? Is it something that's kind of come naturally to you, or is it kind of like, man, you sit there and really work on it for a while?
Yeah, both actually. Sometimes I'll be driving around, taking a shower, and then I will just have an idea about a joke. But sometimes I also have to force myself to sit down to write jokes. So it kind of goes both ways. But to write like 5-minute routine, I think I can write a 5-minute routine within like a day or two. But to actually craft the routine, I will probably need like a month or two, So basically, I will have a foundation of how my 5 minutes gonna go, but I need to go out to open mics to test it out. And then I think the process to test out a 5-minute routine for me is probably about like a month or two. So after that, I think I will be able to have a really solid 5 minutes. Yeah.
See, and that's something I think, the average audience member doesn't understand, that you have to kind of work on your timing, kind of see what jokes work, what don't work, when you hit certain words in your material. Where's the punchline at? Maybe there's 2 punchlines that come with it. And if they don't space it out enough, then it kind of goes over the audience's head and they only heard one of them.
Exactly. And that's the thing about stand-up. I think stand-up is one of the art forms that requires you to present your art without finishing it yet. Because most art that you see is presented to you after it's finished. But stand-up is always a work in progress.
I never thought about it that way, but that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
But I'm a musician and a photographer and everything else. It's like, what people hear and see is the finished product for the most part. Even these live streams, I mean, they're happening as they happen, but with comedy, it's something that's constantly evolving. Material. Exactly. Wow. And I have kind of a curious mind, so I'm just wondering, the very, very first time that you did stand up, do you remember what the reaction was like from the audience?
I got a few laughs, and then of course there are some jokes that I thought would be funny didn't hit. So, but the good thing is I got laughs, so that make me feel good. So that's why I keep pushing it. If I don't get any laugh, I don't think I will keep continue doing it.
Well, that makes sense. And for yourself, were you nervous when you went up there the first time to do stand up?
I was very nervous, and So I think most people who perform for the first time, they will realize when you're on the stage, those lighting equipments are really bright, so you couldn't really see the audience face. So that was what I remember. Like I stood up on the stage and I was like, oh, the only thing I see is darkness. There's nothing in there. I was not used to that, but now I'm really used to it. But in the beginning, I was like, wait, I want to see the audience faces, but I couldn't.
That's funny. That's kind of like, well, being a musician, you got these blinding lights in your face. And that's why sometimes they literally fall off the stage. Like, well, how do you fall off the stage? It's because they can't see.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully you don't fall off the stage when you're doing comedy and the lights are in your face.
No, I'm seasoned, so I'm fine.
Now, I'm also curious, so that your friends, people in your circle, since they know you've been doing comedy for a while, do they ever annoy you by say something funny? Or if you meet somebody new and they know that you do stand-up, do people ever ask that of you? Does it get annoying?
Yes. So it depends on the context, but for the most part, it's kind of annoying, I think. That's like if you meet a doctor and you be like, hey, doctor, can you check my pulse? It's just like, well, yeah, you have to pay me to tell you a joke. That's the same thing. Most of the time, I would just make a joke about it, about the situation. I would be like, well, if you want me to tell you a joke, well, then you have to pay me because it's a job, obviously. And I do have some experience where I remember one time my friend, he's like, oh, Oliver, you need to tell me some jokes. And then so I just performed like 5 minutes for him in his living room. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's must be kind of nice to have a friend who's funny.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes I do test out my jokes with my friends. That happens too. I'll just kind of forcing them to be like, hey, can you guys sit down and listen to my jokes and let me know if you guys think it's funny.
So they can be your guinea pigs then.
Yeah, they are my guinea pigs. Yeah.
There's one thing they say, and I think there's maybe some truth to it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that some comedy or some comedians even that they have their comedy comes from a place of a lot of hurt. And so they're funny on stage to the audience, but then in their personal life, it could have been something in their childhood, could have been something in their adulthood that is really painful to them. And that's how they've kind of found a way to release it, was by doing comedy. Is there any relation of that to yourself and your own background?
Yes. It's probably really subtle. I don't think the audience member would notice it, but as an artist, I do notice a lot of my joke come from dark places or dark memory, but I make it funny, I make it lighthearted. However, like I talk about my parents, I talk about the time my dad, he logged into my Facebook and found out I am gay. That was pretty traumatizing. It happened like 10 years ago, so now I'm fine with it. I can make jokes about it. But at the time, that was pretty traumatizing. And there are a lot of instances like this where I just make a really painful memory and make it funny. And I think like in the really beginning of my comedy career, I did a lot of that. I use comedy as a way to, like a therapy to make myself feel better. But I think right now I'm more emotionally mature or maybe more stable. So a lot of my current jokes are not necessarily about the pain I had. It's more about the observations I have about the things around me. So it kind of changes. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know I'm a big fan of Richard Pryor and Robin Williams and some of the Eddie Murphy, some of the stand-ups. I used to watch their stuff over and over on VHS tape, and that's how old I am. And they all kind of talk about a similar theme, which was that some of their backgrounds were so messed up that they couldn't do anything but laugh about it.
Yeah, because I guess when you are really sad and lonely and depressed, you would be like, well, I guess there's only two ways. Like either you be depressed, or you get better.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious too that with your writing of comedy material, did that come from your degree background in screenwriting? Does that kind of that help with your writing of comedy?
I think you are the only person who asked me this question, and I'm really glad you asked. And my answer would be yes. So I came here for my master's in screenwriting. So I learned how to do creative writing in English. And that really helps my joke writing in English as well, because there is definitely a correlation between writing scripts and then writing jokes. Obviously, it's two different medium, but at the end of the day, it's still writing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's of the writing and interviewing and photography that I do. My writing is kind of the first thing that I've been a part of since I was in elementary school. So it kind of made sense to me in my brain that, oh, if you're writing comedy sketches, then there's probably, and you have a master's degree in screenwriting, there's probably be something that's kind of influencing your comedy writing.
Definitely. And another way I learned how to write jokes in English is just to watch Netflix comedy specials by other comedians. And then where I would turn on the subtitles and then I will read the subtitles. Because I think sometimes hearing a joke then it's different than actually reading a joke. I think it's two different sensory stimulation. So I think if you want to learn how to write a joke, you need to read the joke.
Oh, that's a really interesting observation. I never thought about that. And you're right. There's two different things.
Yeah.
You know, if you put something up on the screen right now that I'm just reading the joke, and then if I actually hear you say it, it's two different. It's apples and oranges almost.
And I think the two needs to help each other, of course. Yeah. Sometimes a joke would be funny in writing, but it might not be funny when you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. And vice versa.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's kind of a really good segue. So since you came and got your master's in screenwriting and you have your degree in film production, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you got into the adult film world through a director who didn't want to be a part of the adult film world.
Yes. So long story short, the adult company that I'm currently working for, they were looking for a director, and then the director they found was a mutual friend of mine, but he doesn't want to do adult work, so he referred me. That's how I got into it. So I've been doing adult works for about a little bit over than a year. Yeah.
Okay. And so when your friend referred you to this opportunity, was there any hesitation on your part?
Not really, actually. The only hesitation I have was I was not sure if this company was legit. However, I did my research and I realized, oh, this is a really legit company and they are really reputable and really influential in Asia. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm fascinated. I've had a chance through your publicist. I've had a chance to talk to quite a few different adult film stars, but never a director. So you're the first one. So I'm curious because I remember back like in the late 80s and definitely in the 90s that you had what were called feature films because they had storylines and they had everything. And then you also, when camcorders came along, then you start getting gonzo stuff. And then of course the internet completely blew everything up in terms of what you were going to get. So with you being the director, and it sounds like you write most of your screenplays for your films, how much control do you have over what that finished product is going to look like? Do you have a whole team just like on a mainstream movie set, or is it like a lot more of it just falls on your lap?
Yeah, I have solid creativity control. I'm really lucky in that way. So I get to write my own scripts. Obviously, sometimes I will hire other screenwriters because we want to have a different variety of story genres, and then the genre that I wrote might be different than the different writers. So we do hire some other writers. And then on my set, we have like about 15 people as crew members to work on my set. And most of them are really professional. Most of them come from film school because a lot of them are just my classmates and I bring them to adult works. And then we have in-house editors at the company. And coming back to your question, so the company, they give me a lot of freedom to do what I want. I think the only thing that would say, so the only thing that would want me to, I guess, match their expectation is the cast. You know, sometimes they will tell me, well, Oliver, I want you to cast this girl. I want you to cast that girl. And then that's pretty much that. Most of the time I can control the story, the cinematography, the acting, the editing, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's nice that you have that level of creative control over what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because they could easily hamstring you and just say, we want this, and this, and then just get in there and make it happen.
Yeah. I think this is also a chicken and egg question because I think a lot of decision makers in the business don't believe storytelling in porn is important. So they are just kind of like, well, Oliver, you can do whatever you want with the story because we don't think the audience cares.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that viewpoint.
Yeah, I think a lot of time that is why they don't care. But who knows? I believe there are still a lot of audience who likes to watch stories in porn. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think again back to the first wave of features or whatever you want to call it, that the combination when you had the story, the acting, the sex scenes, when everything was like really basically hot all across the board, that's when it worked. And so, but now people are probably a little desensitized because there's so much content, so much gonzo, so much just everything. I know you have OnlyFans now and you got everything else. So it's just like, okay, you have to have a certain kind of taste for seeing a feature and wanting to see a story. But there's definitely an audience for it.
Yeah, and just like you said, because a lot of people, they are doing gonzo content. So if we also do gonzo content, then it's kind of hard for us to stand out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to some of the older films that I had seen, not of yours, but way back in the day, that some of the porn actors were really good actors, and then some of them were terrible. Yeah. It was almost like that's why they were cast, because it was funny.
Yeah.
Have you encountered, not to name names, but have you encountered anybody that maybe the studio said, hey, we want you to cast this girl or this guy, and then they're on set, it's like, man, I really have to work like coaching them because they're not getting the lines, they're not doing anything that I need them to do.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, some porn actors, they are good actors, and some porn actors, they are not good actors. And I think that is fine, because I don't believe acting is a requirement of porn actors, because sometimes a porn actor, they can be really good at sex, but they are really bad at acting. But for the sake of porn, because they are really good at sex, I still need to cast them because they can deliver a really the type of sexual performance that I'm looking for. And then I would also say sometimes a porn actor, if they are not good at acting, there are solutions to that. You can give them a role that does not require as much acting, or they can just be like a music dance video. All they need to do is just to dance and strip. That way, it doesn't require acting as well. But I also want to say, it's just like in Hollywood, there are a lot of actors who are so good, but a lot of Hollywood actors are also so bad as well.
That is true. I review films for many, many studios, a lot of independent films as well as some major studios. And some of the things I have to say, it doesn't matter what the budget is. And some of the actors are like, wow, I could probably do a better job. I don't have an ounce of acting in my background.
Yeah, exactly. And those bad actors, they got cast because they have some marketability, stuff like that,
Yeah, for sure. They're a pretty face. They know the director. All kinds of things. I'm like, wow, okay. What do you look for when you're filming a sex scene? What are you looking as a director? What are you looking for from your performers?
Yeah. This is gonna sound a little philosophical, but I'm looking for passion. So usually when I'm directing sex scenes, I tell my actors, first, I want you guys to make out. I want you guys to kiss and touch. And then it depends on the story. Sometimes I want them to do tender, gentle sex, but sometimes I want them to be wild. However, no matter if it's wild, no matter if it's gentle, I want them to have passion. I don't want them to just go through the motions like, doing something like mechanics. I don't want that. I want like real sex. But I think when I say real sex, some people would be like, oh, does that mean the sex is going to be boring? Not necessarily. A lot of real sex can be really wild and really gonzo as well. It really depends on the story. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it seems like just like anything, if it's a mainstream film or a band or anything else, the chemistry with the performers makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So if they're really digging each other and vibing off of each other, then I think that sex scene is going to go like right through the roof.
Exactly. And I notice if usually a porn actor, if they really love sex, they usually can deliver a scene with passion. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you're, let's say from start to finish, if you're writing a screenplay and you're directing, and like you said, you've got a team of 15, give or take, how long does it take from start to finish to actually get something done before it actually gets put out to the public like me?
From writing the script to until final release, I would say about a month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So does that mean like you're filming one and then 2 weeks later you're filming another film, or how's that kind of work?
Oh, we do it like a batch. So usually we shoot like 4 to 5 scenes in a month. So it's like a cycle,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you're constantly kind of, here's the 5 that we're going to be doing. We're going to do one, then we got the second one, the third one, the fourth one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so can you kind of dictate then when you want to break from it, or you just kind of keep grinding and trying to learn more and do more?
Yeah. So I can kind of decide how many days I wanna, take a break from work. But I couldn't take like more than 2 weeks because we are a subscription-based website. We have the pressure to release at least one video every single week. So we have to be like a factory, just keep producing films every month. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do you have particular genres that you like to direct in? Because I know there's a bunch of different ones that I was looking at.
I like comedy. I like romance. I also like drama, and I especially like drama that are reality based, like people can see it actually happening in real life.
Okay.
Yeah. The type of genre that I don't usually do is horror and sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anytime I think of like sci-fi, I think of like tentacle porn from Japan or something like that.
Yeah. I don't do that. I mean, I'm pretty sure some directors, some writers, they do that, but I just don't.
So it makes sense, especially when you're talking about like if you like doing a comedy genre film. Do you ever come up with some material for your film that you think, oh, wait a minute, this might make a good joke for my stand-up, so I should kind of save it, or vice versa? You put something into your film that was part of your stand-up?
It doesn't really happen yet because when I'm writing porn scripts, I'm writing for the characters. But when I'm writing stand-up, I'm writing for myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a separation then.
There's a separation, but I think both are a good way for me to exercise my comedy brain, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, and every creative person I've ever talked to, they always are looking for something not beyond, but so like if you're a porn film director right now, is there a certain other part of porn that you want to get into, or that you want to explore, that you want to do that kind of take it to another level?
Really good question. By the way, you are such a good interviewer. All of your questions are solid questions.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've done a few interviews, but your questions are just really unique. Okay, but okay, coming back to your question, what kind of porn I want to get into? I want to direct and write gay porn because I don't know if your audience knows. So I'm a gay man, but I'm directing straight porn right now. But I kind of want to get into gay porn. But the thing about gay porn and straight porn is, although they are both porn, but in the industry, both groups kind of don't talk to each other that much. So I don't have too many connections for me to get into gay porn, although I know they will come at some point if I look for them. But right now, I don't. Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you have any idea why the two sides of the industry don't really talk to each other?
It's not like they don't like talk to each other. It's just they don't have the need to talk to each other, I guess.
Okay, so they're just kind of in their own lanes then. So
yeah. Well, obviously, in some conventions, some events, you will run into each other, and then a lot of straight performers, they know gay performers. They are, good people as well. They are good friends. But I guess just in terms of like business executive and then those decision makers, I think they are kind of separate. That's just my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any chance that you would, I don't know, be able to get the funding to start your own gay porn company? Just film your own stuff?
I don't know I don't think I'm that entrepreneur yet. I don't know. I don't think I want to start my own gay porn company, although I like the idea of that. But I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe down the road.
Maybe down the road. But the thing is, if I wanna become an entrepreneur and have my gay studio, I don't know if I will have the amount of energy left for my comedy.
That's true. You'd be working a lot.
I've been working a lot, juggling, different jobs.
Yeah, and do you have any aspirations for mainstream film work at some point?
Yes, I do. I definitely wanna do some mainstream films. The difficult thing is obviously first is the stigma about porn. I don't know if a lot of mainstream media they would deny me opportunity because I've experience in porn. Obviously, I guess that really depends on the media. So if it's like Warner Brother, probably they would say no to me. But if it's more like independent films or maybe more like smaller studio, I think they'll be fine. So one of my aspiration right now is to produce a show or movie about the porn industry, and then the story I wanna tell it from a perspective of a Asian male porn director, which is my perspective basically. So that is something that I wanna do because I think there's a unique perspective,
Yeah, no, that sounds intriguing, and I think you're right. I think it's something that hasn't been seen before.
I don't believe so. There are a lot of shows, a lot of movies about the porn industry, but I don't think none of them is, told from an Asian male perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, you also, being an immigrant, being gay. I know you're open about being HIV positive. You could have all kinds of things that could really bring a really, really unique perspective to something that really no one else would have.
Yeah, I would agree with that, although that sounds a little arrogant for me to say, but I think I do have a unique perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I hope that happens because I love behind the scenes things, and I especially like it when it's something that's definitely unique, not the same thing that I've seen 12 other times when someone's trying to tell a documentary about the porn industry or something. It's like, well, no, here's something that we haven't seen before from someone we haven't seen before either. So it's going to make it uniquely different right off the bat.
Yeah.
Wow. I know we have a few minutes left, and I'm kind of just overly curious too that when I first found out that you were HIV positive, and again, you've been open about that with your comedy, you talk about it. It's so not in the news. When I think about HIV, I go back to like when I was in college, which again was a long time ago. And then once it got to a point of, I don't know, maybe even 20 years ago, you don't really hear about it. So I don't even know what the state of HIV is in America or in the world. So where are we? I mean, where are we today if you get diagnosed as positive?
Yeah. So right now, HIV is not a deadly disease anymore. So if you get HIV, you can get treatment, and then you will be controlled, and then your condition would not progress. Okay. So that is the thing. So right now, if you are HIV positive and you are on medications, you will become undetectable at some point. Some people can get there within 3 months. Some people might have to take a year. So everybody is different. But eventually, if you are on meds, you'll become undetectable. And what undetectable means is your body still have HIV virus, but the virus amount is so low, it becomes undetectable. And when it is undetectable, you will not give the virus to other people, even though you have unprotected sex.
Okay.
Just imagine, this is not really a good analogy because I'm not a doctor, but imagine if you get COVID, your body will still have the COVID antibody, I think, but once you get recovered, you will not give COVID to other people.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and that means that we've come a long way. That you can get on medication that will get it to a level where you can't transmit it to other people then.
Exactly. And then if you are not HIV positive and you want to protect yourself from getting HIV positive, another thing you can do is you can take a medication called PrEP. So PrEP is a medication that you take once a day to give yourself the ability to not get HIV. And a lot of gay men, they are taking it because, HIV is still, really is a concern in the gay community, I guess. So a lot of gay men, they take PrEP to protect themselves. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot. I had no idea. So
yeah,
but
I guess you will only need to take PrEP if you know you are going to have unprotected sex. You know.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, we have such great medicine at our fingertips now. Then, because it used to be like if you got HIV, then it was a matter of time before you developed AIDS.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad that we're so far past that, and that someone can, because I think one of your comedy bits was about that you can still pick up your own groceries or something when you were HIV positive or something to that effect.
Yeah, one of my joke is I'm not gonna die from HIV. I'm more likely to die from getting shot by a white guy.
Yeah, and that's great. That means the odds have definitely gone through the roof and improved so much for people's lives that they can live their life basically.
Yeah, we can live our life like normal human beings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It almost as we're talking the last 30-35 minutes, it almost seems like there really should be a documentary about you. I mean, really, I know you're talking about you're making your own film from your perspective, but almost because coming from Taiwan and then coming here to a country that you're not familiar with and culture shock and language barriers, and then you're very obviously smart because you have 2 degrees and one's a graduate degree if I'm not mistaken, with your screenwriting, and then you're doing comedy, you're doing film work, you've got all these, you're a podcaster, you've got all these irons in the fire, and you're probably like 30 or something is my guess.
I'm about to turn 31, although I look like 18.
Yes, you do. But it seems like there's a film in there. So if you know one of your filmmaking friends that wants to start following you around,
it's so funny when you are living your life, you don't think about how interesting your life is to other people. I guess like I just don't think my life is that interesting because I'm living it. I live it every single day, but. Sometimes people will be like, well, Oliver, I think you have an interesting life. But I'm like, is it? I think it's just like any other normal human being. I wake up, I eat, I go to bed, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you're right. When you're living your life, like I'm living my own, I don't think of how other people look at it until somebody tells me something. Like, Mark, you do so many cool things and you meet so many cool people. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's just part of what I do. I don't think.
Yeah, it's just part of what I do. You don't think about that. You don't think about. I guess the reason why we do what we do is not because we wanna be perceived interesting. I guess the reason why we do what we do is because we love doing it.
Perfectly said. Exactly. So it's the last thing on my mind is about what someone's perceiving me as and how cool it is or whatever's going on. It's like. But yeah, from my perspective, your life seems like it's made for a documentary at some point. Maybe not right now, but in 5 years, 10 years, there's going to be enough stuff there that I think people
appreciate it.
Yeah, uber talented and also very, very interesting. So, quickly before we kind of break apart here, I saw that you've done roughly like maybe almost 24 podcasts. And it's kind of been a minute since you had a chance to do a new one. You've probably been so busy with everything else that you do.
Yeah.
Did that start up just because out of interest or need, or how did your podcast part start up?
It's out of interest. So I have a podcast called Get Intimate with Oliver Wong, and it's basically a show where I interview people from different kind of life, different industry as well. And I guess I started out just because I want to talk to people and get to know their life and get to know their job. So I've interviewed like professors, journalists, writers, comedians, porn actors. And then once I figure out some, scheduling stuff, I do want to continue. Maybe I'll hire a team for me, to produce podcasts. Otherwise, right now I'm taking a pause on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sounds like you might be kind of naturally curious about people like I am, since you had so many different.
Exactly. It's just people are more interesting than me, I guess.
Yeah, I'm always like, if there's something that piques my interest and I want to talk to that person, and there's nothing better than talking to the person who actually does it. So if it's a teacher or a doctor or a porn star or whatever, so then I don't want to hear it from the filtered thing over here. You actually do this. You're on the ground floor, so I want to talk to you about it. Just like you're an adult film director. You're the first one I've ever had a chance to talk to. You also probably think maybe the second stand-up comedian I've had a chance to talk to as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so not a lot. And it's been fascinating. But Oliver, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. I wish you every success with everything you got coming up. And if you ever want to come back on, I love having guests come back to do follow-ups to kind of see where we're at with things. If you have new things to promote, which it sounds like you will. But the last few seconds is for you. Like, what would you like to promote? What's coming up for you?
Well, definitely check out my films on delphinefilms.com if you are over the age of 18. And then check out my comedy on my Instagram at Oliver Wong Comedy. And then I'm going to perform at a comedy store in Los Angeles on March 10th at the show. This is my first time performing at a comedy store, so it's a huge milestone for me. So if you are in Los Angeles and you want to see comedy, come March 10th, 7 p.m., the comedy store. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Mark. This is a really, really pleasurable interview.
Thank you so much. Have a great night down there. And congratulations on the comedy store gig on the 10th.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.